So how long should your muscle gain phase be? Well, it should be long enough for you to see progress, but not so long that you get really uncomfortable with your body composition. And when it comes to, being in a surplus long enough to see progress, you just don't want to do what most people do, which is like look in the mirror one day and be like, you know what? I want abs. Time to shred. So then they go in a deficit for like 2 weeks and they put on a t-shirt and they like don't fill out the arm sleeve and they're like, you know what? Time to bulk. And then they go into a surplus for, 2 weeks and then they tighten up their belt one day and it's like, it's too snug and they're like, you know what? Time to shred. And they just cycle back and forth between being in a surplus and in a deficit, making no progress because they're not actually spending enough time in either of them to maximize results. So what I will say is just, it takes time. You can't flip-flop between those two goals and expect to make any progress. And between the two, fat loss and muscle gain takes way longer, right? To build a pound of muscle or burn a pound of fat, it's way easier to burn a pound of fat. So I just want you to look at those two things where muscle gain is on a longer time scale. It's a longer term investment. And fat loss can be done quicker, realistically. Even if you've been somebody who struggles with fat loss, it still happens quicker, right? To put in perspective, losing 1 pound of fat per week is something people think is like, okay, that's realistic. If you're an advanced trainee, like putting on a couple pounds of muscle per year is amazing. So just understand that you're probably going to spend a little bit longer time building muscle than you need to losing fat. Now, in terms of like hard and fast recommendations, it's really hard to do that because there's this whole subjective side of like not feeling super uncomfortable with your body composition. But what I will say is, as irresponsible as it is to give this blanket recommendation, I would probably say no less than 8 weeks in a slight surplus in a muscle building phase. You just want to give it long enough to actually see progress. You can't be in a gaining phase for 4 weeks and expect to get anything out of it. So think of your muscle building phases as long-term investments and your fat loss phases as more short-term investments just because you're able to make that progress a little bit quicker in terms of pounds. Now, when it comes to not getting really uncomfortable with your body composition, I put the word really there because I feel like in order to make optimal muscle gain progress, you're probably going to have to push your body composition a little past where you'd like it to be. Now, I'm not saying you need to go and get really like humongous and have no neck and gain 30 pounds, but realistically, you need to be in a surplus and you need to do it long enough to see progress. It's probably minimum 8 weeks. So chances are you're going to build some fat along the way and you're going to inch up towards feeling uncomfortable with your body composition. Now, if you stopped every time you even got a little bit uncomfortable, then you're this dude who's like shred, bulk, shred, and you don't want to be that guy. So when you're in a muscle building phase, focus on building muscle and be okay with the fact that you're going to be slightly bigger because you know that when the time comes you can cut fat, it's a lot easier. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easier. So maybe it's a good idea to get a little comfortable being uncomfortable. But then again, like you could tell me to fuck off and be like, I don't want to get uncomfortable. I don't want to get bigger. I don't like that. And that's great. And that's why it's subjective and that's why you get to pick. But I just want you to have all the information so you can make an informed decision. So you want to be in a surplus long enough to see results, which is likely 8 weeks or more. And you want to set a ceiling, which we've talked about, of a number on the scale that you probably aren't comfortable going over, and set a target rate of gain so that you know if things are moving too fast, right? Setting a target rate of gain and having a ceiling in terms of weight that you don't want to go over are going to be really powerful in terms of making sure you don't overdo it. Hope that made sense, guys. I hope you can apply that to your cycling of gaining and cutting. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.